Hello guys, and welcome to my build introduction for the Revell Pro-Modeler 1/32 scale Junkers Ju-88A-1 bomber. This is a build that I'm doing as a buddy build with Freddy, Fernando Duarte, and it's also my second build of the new year 2016. This buddy build is open to anybody that wants to join in with us, and it will be running till the end of March, so plenty of time to join in and get something done and have some fun along the way. We do have one confirmed modeler. He's a young guy from Australia. He goes by the name of TheModelMaster on his YouTube channel, and his name's Gordon. He's building a 1/72 scale version, so welcome aboard, Gordon. We look forward to having you join in with us. This kit was new in 2008, a new tool. It was re-released in 2011 with just a new boxing, and that is what this kit is, the 2011 version. And then it was re-released again in 2013 with a new box art and some new parts that were added to this kit. So let's look at what we have. So starting with the box itself, this is the lid. Nice box art showing Junkers over the southern coast of England, the White Cliffs of Dover, returning after a bombing run. Here's a couple of images on the side of the box art showing the front end, the canopy, and a rear sort of side-on view of the port side fuselage. There's a look inside the canopy, the rear side, showing some radios, and another side view of the fuselage. And here we have some specifications showing there's 281 parts, so be prepared for a long build. And there's the colour chart, lots of colours required, view of the undercarriage, and a little more view of some of the canopies. And as you can see, it comes in a nice sturdy base with the contents included. And so moving on to the decal sheet, this comes with two options, and one of those are for a Battle of Britain version, which is probably the one I'll do. Also included is a 24-page black and white booklet, and that's the front and rear page. Front page has some history of the aircraft. The rear page is part of the painting decaling instructions. The next two pages, on the left side we have the colour chart, all the colours required listed, and then the next page we have first page of the parts list, and here's the next two pages of that parts list, itemising all the parts in number order and the names of all those parts. The next two pages we have the end of the parts list and the first two stages of the assembly instructions, and as you can see, it's all cockpit interior details, and this cockpit comes with a ton of details, and I can't wait to get stuck into them and bring them alive. So the next two pages, again, we have a lot more of the interior, stage 3 and 4. Stage 3 showing some of the consoles and boxes, radio boxes and levers, etc. Stage 4 showing the seat assemblies, putting those together and assembling those into the cockpit. The next two pages show us stages 5, 6 and 7. Stage 5 is for the rear wheel bay and the rear wheel assembly. Stage 6 is assembling those two fuselage halves together, including rear wheel bay doors. And stage 7 is for assembling some features into the canopy housings. Next two pages are stages 8 through 11. Stages 8 is an instrument panel, again gets mounted inside a canopy. Stage 9 is for some more canopy on the bottom. And stage 10 is moving on to wing assemblies and cowling assemblies. Stage 11 is assembling wingtips and cowlings to those wings, and then moving on through to stages 12 through 15, assembling the wing structures to the fuselage, assembling the wheel undercarriages together and putting those into the wheel bay areas, or assembling the doors if you don't want to show them down. Next, 15 moves on to flaps and aileron assemblies, putting those all together. And the next two pages are stages 16 through 19, which are engine cowlings and engine assemblies and putting those onto the front end of those wings, attaching them to the wheel assemblies there. And then we move on to rudder and vertical stabilizers, horizontal stabilizers. And here we can see the front glass canopy in stages 20 through to 22, assembling all the glass canopies and the machine guns into those and fitting those onto the fuselage. Stage 21 is the engine assembly there, and propeller assembly, assembling those onto the aircraft. Stage 23 and stage 24 is the final canopy and machine gun assemblies, and assembling the antenna cables in the final stage 24. And then we move on to painting instructions, and that's the Battle of Britain version for Geschwader 54. And stage 25 and 26 is more of the painting and decaling instructions. There we can see the second offering, Geschwader KG 30. And excuse me, I'm probably going to do the Battle of Britain version. I haven't made my mind up yet. And then here we're going to move on to the sprues themselves. We have 13 grey sprues in 5 clear bags. This is the first 4 of the larger bags for the grey sprues. And we have 1 clear sprue in its own separate bag, which we'll see on the next slide. Here we go. And that's the last of the grey sprues in a smaller bag, with a smaller bag of the 1 clear sprue. And we move on to the largest of the 2 mouldings, and this is the 2 fuselage mouldings. And you see they're pretty long, and it's going to be one big aircraft when built. And this is a close-up at the front end of those 2 fuselage halves, and you can see some nice recessed panel lines. And this is zooming in a little closer to the front end of the the port side fuselage half. You can see lots of detail there. And then we're moving on to the 2 upper wing halves, and they're all attached on their own separate sprue. And this is a close-up view of one of those upper wing halves, showing that we have some nice recessed panel line rivet detail going on to highlight. This is a close-up of one of those upper wing halves, zooming in close to where the engine assemblies attach. And here we're moving on to the bottom wing assembly. Sorry, not assemblies, the bottom wing halves. And again, you can see there's some nice detail there, recessed panel line details. The engine assemblies will be mounted onto these bottom wing structures. And you can see there a close-up of where the undercarriage and engine assemblies mount to. So moving on to the next sprue, we can see this one has some of the flaps, aileron parts, halves, vertical rudders, stabilizers, etc., wingtip halves. And here's a close-up of some of the flaps, ailerons that have to be assembled together. On the bottom left hand corner is one of the magazine racks that assembles inside the cockpit. And we also have some of the instrument panels on this sprue. There we see wingtips in the top left corner, and part of the stabilizers on the right hand corner there, bottom corner. And this next slide we see the instrument panel and some of the seating, and some more of the instrument boxes, control boxes that go inside the cockpit. And you'll see it's a really nicely detailed interior. There we have some of the instrument panel walls, the port side and starboard side interior walls that mount onto the fuselage halves, and then we have the bulkheads as well. That's a close-up of one of the bulkheads that fit into the fuselage halves, and the struts that stick out the sides are for mounting the wings onto to give it a more sturdy construction. Here's a close-up of the interior of the port side and starboard fuselage halves. These two stick inside the fuselage halves, and as you can see, a lot of detail. Here's some of the engine cowling halves that are glued together, and again you can see nice recessed panel lines. Moving on to the next sprue, you can see we have some of the halves for the flaps and ailerons, and some of the wheel assemblies there, parts of the wheel assemblies to put together. And if we zoom in on the next slide, you can see nicely recessed panel line details on those ailerons, and you can see the nice detail around the halves of the wheel assemblies there, the struts, the oleos, and there the air brakes, dive brakes. In close up, this slide shows horizontal stabilizers, and two halves of each of those that have to be assembled together. And here we can see some engine cowlings, the propeller blades, propeller assemblies, spinner, the back plate, the engine cowling front, and some of the wheels there, wheel halves. There the wheel halves close up, you see nice details there inside those wheels, and a lot of those parts are parts that make up the wheel assemblies. And moving on to the next slide, here we have some of the engine cowling halves, the front end of the engine there, and exhaust struts on the top right, and some of the engine parts, spinner, blades, etc. And this is a second sprue that's identical to the last one we just saw. It's two of these sprues. Again, engine cowling assemblies and spinner propeller assemblies. There's a close-up of the part of the engine assemblies. You can see gun magazines there around those, and we have a machine gun and exhaust stacks there. And there's the propeller blades and engine cowlings even close up. You see the nice recessed panel lines and rivet details for highlighting in the painting stage. No flash around those propeller blades, which is great. You can see there's hardly any flash around these parts, if any. It's just on the small parts. Here we have the wheels, two more wheels there, and some of the parts that go on the wheel assemblies. And there's the wheels in close up, nice tread, horizontal tread pattern, and part of the brake line on that left hand wheel there. So if you want to attach to that some cable, some wire, copper wire, and show more brake line, you've got the choice for that. There we have some aileron halves and lots of details that go within the cockpit. Here's some of the fuselage parts that are mounted into the openings on the fuselage halves when they go together. That's the lower fuselage half on the right there, and there we can see the radio panels there, and more parts of levers and boxes that go into the cockpit assemblies. There you can see more of the ailerons and flap halves, and more of the internal cockpit assembly parts. There's a ton of them. There you can see a close-up of some of those side walls that go into the fuselage halves with all the instruments and levers on, and part of the floor there on the bottom left. And here again we have a close-up of those flaps and ailerons. These are the flaps that go behind the undercarriage assemblies, engine assemblies, and some of the inner parts again. And there is the clear sprue. It's just the one clear sprue showing all the glazing, all the glass that has to be masked and painted. I don't have any masks for this. I'm just going to do it with Tamiya tape, as I usually do, and a sharp, fresh sharp blade. And as you can see, these parts are really clear, nicely moulded, and some flash around some of them, and that'll have to be trimmed. And they're ejector slugs that are hanging off the ends of these parts. You just got to trim those off. they're there so you don't have to have ejector pins on the clear parts. Last thing you want is ejector pin witness marks in clear parts, so take the ejector pins outside of those and use slugs that you can force your ejector pins onto and force the parts out of the mould. So there we have it, there are all the clear parts. Everything's looking great. I'm happy with the way it looks and I can't wait to get stuck into this baby. It's going to be a long build, so feel free guys, if you want to join in with this buddy build with me and Freddy, the Junkyard junk build, any JU88 in any scale, and it's going to run till the end of March. So I'm going to get stuck into it now. I'm going to wash these parts, let them dry, air dry, and I'll start putting sub-assemblies together, building all those up and priming, and move on with detailing the cockpit and sub-assemblies. That's it from me for now guys, and I'll see you at the next update, build update number 1. So until then, tally-o and chocks away.
Thank you.